This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and this is an iPhone XS Max in a case. You should probably use a case. Cases are good. Why? Because this thing costs $1,100 or more, right? And the regular iPhone XS is $1,000. This is crazy business. If you want to get the back replaced, it's $599 unless you have Apple Care. A case is cheaper than Apple Care. And not breaking your phone is always good. Now, I love naked phones. I mean, you buy a phone in part because it looks classy, it looks pretty, right? So if you never get to see it again, it's kind of a bummer. My preference is for clear cases with TPU materials because it absorbs a lot of impact. With the glass phone, mostly what you're worried about is the glass shattering from impact. But of course, there's scratches, there's other things, there's cases for all kinds of people. I might like barely there sort of cases. Some people want really durable, cases. You're going commando out there. Not that kind of commando, folks. And you're doing something out in the field, or you're just a klutz, that sort of thing. So we're going to cover a couple of different cases, and a couple of them are probably things you've never seen before, like Laut's new scratch and sniff cases. We're going to check them out now. Now, first up is the really fun one. The cases are made by Laut, L-A-U-T. German company originally. Laut is German for loud. You can get them at Target in the United States and Amazon anywhere else. Seem to be pretty popular cases. And they're the relatively thin and light sort of case with really pretty decorations on them. You get the idea. Usually the ones that are good for about 2-meter drops, say about 6 feet. Unless you drop it on something, protruding like a rock that hits the face of the phone. Most of these cases still just protect the back, which is Steve Jobs' favorite kind of case in the old days. He believed nothing should block your screen. Some people like bookcases. That's another story. This company also makes book-style flip-cover cases too, if you want that. But the most interesting thing here is their new Scratch and Sniff series. And if you didn't grow up with Scratch and Sniff kind of books for kids, it's not something perverse. What it is you scratch the thing and it has a little bit of a scent to it. So they have 4 fruity cases for you. You like bananas, you like cherries, for example. So the case normally doesn't smell, but if you rub on and scratch on it, you can smell the fruity smell. How long does this last? And scratch and sniff stuff of old, after about a month, it gave up the ghost. Obviously, the iPhone XS and XS Max and XR haven't been out yet for that long, so we can't say how long the sniffing's going to work, but if that floats your boat, there it is. Unlike the other cases that we're covering here, one thing that I'm not so fond about with the Laut cases is they don't wrap around the front edge, covering the corners of your display to protect it from downward drops if the face should hit the ground. Yeah, that worries me a little. Also, their non-scratch and sniff cases, their normal ones, are very pretty, but the backs are tempered glass. And you're already trying to protect a glass phone, so I wonder how useful it is to actually put more glass on top of an already glass phone. Their cases are typically pretty affordable, around $15 or so a piece, too. Next up, there's CaseMate. They're everywhere. You probably know CaseMate already. And their cases start around $40 or so. They're cheaper than Apple's offerings on average, but they're not as inexpensive as some of the cases we're going to cover in this roundup. But that's because they're a self-proclaimed premium case maker. So you get fairly durable cases that don't turn yellow like some clear cases do. We'll get to some of those. And they protect drops up to 10 feet. Just in case you were Instagramming while you're up on a ladder, I guess, and you drop your phone, don't do that. They also make iPhone stands like the Balloon Dog. It's a suction cup that sticks to the back of the case or your phone and helps stand it upright. They have a protection pack for $45. This includes a clear case and a 9H hardness rated tempered glass screen protector. So that's not a bad deal for those two together. Typically, CaseMate cases do hold up pretty well. I've used them over the years. They keep the nice look and they don't get too stretched out like some cases do after 6 months or so. Next up is silk cases. I hadn't heard of them before, but boy, once I checked them out, they've got to be the funniest, least self-serious case company and website that you've ever seen. They have things like, it's covered in subtle Stefano texture fabric, and then they say, we used a fancy Italian word to impress you. You get the idea here? So their cases are pretty affordable. Like their nudist is your average kind of thin case that offers probably 6 feet of drop protection or so, and it's only $11.99. Comes in nice colors. Doesn't look cheesy. Always a good thing. Seems like a very stiff material so far. It's not stretching too much. Next up, there's the wallet back case. I know a lot of you like that. You can put credit cards in the back, that sort of thing. It has extra protection because the back layer is thicker, and that one is $14.99. Not bad. At this price, you get fabric, that Stefano texture fabric. You don't get leather, of course. Lastly, they do also have a book-style case for those of you who like that. That one is also $15, and again, it's made with a textured fabric. support wireless charging. All the cases that we're covering here support wireless charging, but they're clever enough to remind you that if you do in fact have credit cards with little bits of metal in the cards on the back, that might interfere with wireless charging, so you might have to take your credit cards out the back before you do charge. Next up there's Ulak. Okay, that's not maybe the best name for a company, but oh well. But it's my favorite thing. It's a clear TPU case, and they have a hard polycarbonate shell on the back, so it's a little bit scratch resistant and less likely to get so icky gummy when you put it down in things you wish you hadn't put it down in. It's only $11.99. It looks a lot like the Best Buy house brand Insignia case we're going to talk about next. So definitely a lot of rubbery protection around the edges that I like about it. I also like the fact it's clear so you can see how pretty the phone is, and the edges wrap around to the front. For the Insignia case, the thing I like best about them is they're clear. It's a nice thick rubbery TPU case, but not so thick that it's extra bulky. They're $15 and you can get them at any Best Buy. The one thing I didn't like about them when they were all completely TPU is the fact that they yellowed within 6 months. If you had a gold iPhone, it actually didn't hurt the look so much because it's already a kind of warm tone, but on black or on the silver model, it didn't look so good. So this year I've noticed that they've revised the design. It's a lot like the Ulak case, but not identical. And they put a hard, thin shell of polycarbonate on the back there, so that should maybe hold up in terms of color clarity. We'll find out. Other than that, their cases hold up well, and they don't stretch out either. I've used them for up to a year at a time. Then there's Urban Armor Gear in the OtterBox competitor section of our case review. They make really rugged looking cases. If you could jump through the screen when you're playing Call of Duty, this is the case you would want to have on just looking at it. If you're going to go climb the Andes, this would be that kind of case. It just looks super duper kind of rugged, you know? And they are actually quite rugged. The Monarch is $60. That one is one of their more expensive models because it actually has leather and metal in the materials of the casing instead of your usual TPU polycarbonate, you know, ballistic this and all that sort of thing. So it's a little bit prettier looking. The Plasma is rugged, less expensive at $40, and then there's the Pathfinder is $35. They're all MIL STD 810G for drop testing rated. So on the more aggressive side, a bit thicker, certainly a little bit heavier. They're not super duper heavy. You know, this is not one that's going to make your iPhone XS Max, already a big phone, super duper pocketable. But for those of you who need that kind of protection, well, you know who you are. Again, it is wireless charging compatible. And speaking of OtterBox, this year we have a selection of their not so aggressive looking cases. For those of you who remember OtterBox, when they basically made polycarbonate sealed little boxes that you put your phone in, this is not your grandmother's OtterBox. Nowadays they make slim cases, they make attractive cases that more folks would probably be willing to use. The Symmetry series is slim and light, and that one comes in different colors and different patterns, and there's a clear option too. The price is going to vary a little bit depending on which finish you pick. It's $40 to $45. It's a combination of synthetic rubber and polycarbonate. It might not look that durable, but it's pretty durable. When you drop the phone, it kind of just goes boingy, boingy, bouncy, bouncy, so you can tell that synthetic rubber is doing its job. The Defender is your thick and tougher, more classic kind of OtterBox. It's a two-piece design, and it comes with a holster for you nerdy guys who still carry your phone on your belt, clipped to a holster. Polycarbonate shell again, synthetic rubber, polycarbonate holster, $60 to $65. Rugged, handy if you have a belt that you need to clip it to. You get the idea. The Defender Pro is for germaphobes out there. It has an antimicrobial defense or coating system on there. And because phones do have a lot of germs, well, at least you're kind of protected from that, I guess. They also sell tempered glass screen protectors. And speaking of those, Invisible Shield is always around as probably the best known brand for that. And this year they have a new thing, a blue light filtering screen protector. The only thing is with the iPhone X, XS, XS Max, 10R as well, I'm not sure that's super necessary because you already have that True Tone display that kind of yellows the display for most indoor lighting settings, and plus, you know, night mode, all that sort of thing. But there it is. Blue light filtration is a thing these days. And then there's Caudabe cases. These are some of my favorites because I really like I said, very thin and light cases that still afford drop protection. They have different levels of drop protection, but none of them get bulky. They are literally the barely there kind of case design. They run about $25 or so and come in a variety of colors and all that sort of nice stuff, including clear. So there you have it. That's a roundup of iPhone XS, XS Max, and even XR cases. The XR is going to be coming out in October of 2018. Of course, these are not the only cases on the market, but these are some that I've tested and that I've liked, and like I said, have some wraparound screen protection, are good for at least 6 feet of drop, at least as long as it doesn't strike directly on the screen and there's not something on the ground sticking up. like a pole, I don't know, whatever it might be, a rock, that sort of thing. So they're all pretty good, different price ranges available to you. And these days, cases have improved a lot. Most of them don't get super stretched out within 6 months. And other than the Insignia house brand cheapy case from Best Buy, most of them don't discolor a lot, and they look cosmetically pretty decent after a year. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more cool tech videos, and thumbs up if you like this vid.